Truck drivers, what's a creepy story you've got from the middle of nowhere? Not a truck driver, but once I was driving through the Canadian Rockies late at night and had just passed through a small town. So I'm driving through the pitch black and I need to stop to pee and have a smoke. But because it's so dark, I missed the last rest stop for the next while. No problem, the highway is completely deserted. So I pull to the side of the road, have my pee while staring out into the dark, and then light up a cigarette and stand by my car. As I'm standing there, I see the figure of a man just walking out of the tree line. I'm miles from civilization, patchy cell service, and there isn't a soul on the road. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me and maybe it was a deer, but nope, this was a man. So I calmly walk back to the driver's door and get in, locking the doors behind me. I'm keeping my eye on this guy as I nervously smoke and have my car in drive, ready to peel out, but for some reason, I just stayed put. The guy walks right up to my passenger door and knocks on the window. I crack the window and I ask what's up. He replies to me in a very serious tone, "I need you to call the cops." I cautiously ask why, and he tells me he had gone out into the woods to kill himself, but he couldn't go through with it because he had thought of his daughters right before he was about to do it. I call the cops while the guy quietly cries outside. He had a kitchen knife that he was going to use on himself, so I stayed in the car and advised him to maybe leave the knife on the ground before the cops arrived. The cops came and got him, but before they left with him I gave him a solid heart-to-heart and wished him well. I still think about him. I hope he was able to turn things around. I used to work as a road train driver in the Gascoyne region of outback Western Australia. A lot of black dog phenomena on the night shift. I would see all kinds of things appear in the shadows because of fatigue, or 3 goats would change into some sort of beast. One time I swear I nearly ran over a corgi, which would be astronomical odds. There is one in the wild in this part of the outback. One night I pulled up to sleep, let the engine run cold for 10 minutes, then tried to sleep. I woke up to noises, not voices but some sort of order to the noises, and the whole cab of the truck was shaking. I looked in the mirror and saw shadows around the vehicle. I turned the truck on and every single light attached to the thing and hastily continued my run to the port. This is a big cab, would have taken a lot to move it. I rationalize it as it being windy, some goats around the truck, and fatigue. Either way scared the F out of me, and I never slept on the night shift again. Well, it was creepy at first. I pull into a Purdue plant and drop my empty trailer at Go Park, where they allow bobtails to sit, right next to a lovely little pond. My pickup was 12 hours, so I did my PTI and lay down in the bunk. At about 3 a.m., I hear something tapping on my passenger side door. I look out the window expecting to see someone, maybe a driver asking for a lumper check, but no one. It may be I hear things. So I go back to lay down. As soon as my head hits the pillow, I hear the tapping again, except it's on my driver's side. I jump up and look out my window, the same thing as before, but nothing's there. Double lock my doors just in case and open my side hatches so I can hear what's going on outside. After about 15 minutes, I hear a very light splat going along the driver's side of the truck. I slowly get up, planning to look out my window at the exact moment whoever it is knocking on my door. And then I hear a thud coming from the roof of the cab. I stop, grab my tire thumper off its hook, and ready myself for whatever is happening. Then MF Goose falls off the top of the truck and lands on my hood. It stands up, shuffles back and forth and looks at me. As we make eye contact, the tapping at my door starts again. I say F it and throw open the driver's side door, and another damn goose is waddling away with all the speed it can manage, honking like a 5-year-old who just found the horn on his new bike. The pond I parked next to had many of them just dicking around. It was hard to sleep because the damn geese would peck at my door or land on the cab and shuffle around every couple of minutes. Trucker here. The best creepy thing ever happened to me as I was heading from Tucson, Oz, to Salt Lake City, UT. This was a few years ago, and the main highway had been taken out in a flash flood and was under construction, so I had to detour through the mountains in lower Utah. It was getting late, and I was getting tired, so I pulled off onto the shoulder and went to sleep in my bunk. Now, this was in the middle of nowhere. The closest town was like 40 miles away, so it was completely pitch black outside once I turned the lights off. Anyway, around 4 I woke up because I heard something messing with my truck, like playing with the air and power cables between my cab and the trailer, which is 6 inches from where my head is but on the outside of the cab. Then I feel something climb onto the landing that's on the back of my truck, and it shakes my whole truck, so I'm guessing something around 200 to 300 pounds was climbing around back there. I'm thinking like a mountain lion or a bear. At this point, I'm wide the F awake, and I want to get this thing away from me, so I slam my hand into my cab wall, trying to scare whatever is out there. Slam, hard enough to make it loud. I then hear someone, a male, scream bloody murder, and I listen to them fall off the back of my truck. I then hear about 15 other people all around my car yelling. I climb up front, turn on my lights and illuminate a squad of Army reserves doing their midnight ruck march and capture drills. These guys were supposed to go find an abandoned truck and secure it for their midnight drills. That truck was 3 miles back down the road. They were not expecting me to be sleeping there and thought I was part of the drill. I'm ex-military, so after explaining I was not part of their test and legit was just there out of coincidence, we laughed it off. They had to radio to their CO. Tell him I was there, and not have the other squads bother me. My dad drove a truck between Edinburgh and London and tells this story often. He was driving down the motorway and looked to his right, saw a woman with a Miss Trunchbull bun, as he describes it, staring at him with a terrified expression from a car next to him. Before he knows how to react, the vehicle pulls off at the next exit, and my dad, although shaken, carry on. About half an hour later, a different car with an additional driver pulls alongside my dad, with the same woman in the passenger seat, with the same expression on her face. My dad thinks F this, and plans to pull into the following services to report that even if it's nothing/misunderstanding, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? Anyway, the car disappears before he can get any details, plates etc., and he thinks there is no point calling the police with no details, so he carried on driving. About 4 hours later, almost in London, yet another car pulls alongside him with the same woman, the same Miss Turnbull hair, same terrified expression, except this time she appears to be screaming at my dad through the window, so my dad pulls over into a lay-by and calls the police. In the last few minutes, they have received 3 other calls about the same woman/car in the same area. Unfortunately, it is anticlimactic as he never heard anything more about it, but he didn't see her again, and although he kept an eye on the news, he didn't see anything about it. Hopefully, it's just a giant coincidence. Who knows?
Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.